Hi there. This video will help with shoulder, head, neck tension and possibly even give you a little bit of rehab on anything that's going on related to the rotator cuff. So one of the most common reasons that the rotator cuff, there's four muscles that attach to it, and generally when you have a tear, it's tearing the tendon of the attachment. And usually it's the supraspinatus. It's not always that, but that's the most common one. And that runs through the top here. And even though you might feel pain elsewhere, very often having that tear is causing other muscles to compensate because there'll be a weakness. So this particular class will focus on warming up the area with options where you may be feeling weak or you actually are injured. Now remember, I'm not a doctor, I'm not prescribing anything to you, so everything you do is at your own risk. But we're going to be focusing on stretching and strengthening the whole shoulder girdle area, and then side body. Core is always involved, back body, and also understanding how, the lower half, the lower part of our body and the lumbar sacral area connects to the cervical and all the stuff going on in the head too. So it's not just going to be a whole bunch of upper body. We've got to get everything going on through the whole lines of fascia that run all the way up. Otherwise, you're just doing a partial fix. So we're going to do a really light sort of flow. You're welcome to skip that flow and go straight to the stretching and more therapeutic aspect. Otherwise, you can come along for the ride, do the best you can, hold stretches for longer by pausing the video, or even repeat the warm-up by rewinding. All right, let's get moving. So the breath is going to be the most important part, so we always start there. I'm going to invite you to start by stretching the bottoms of your feet. That starts the whole line that comes up to the back of your head and neck. So if this is intense for you, you're going to come out of it multiple times throughout the breath process. If you have a bolster, or let's say you have a blanket or a pillow, you can sit with a little cushion between the seat and your feet. Okay, just be aware of the tendency of your ankles to splay out if you have that particular makeup in your body, and use the block to remind you to squeeze in. One hand over your navel, one hand under your navel. Breathe down the body so the top hand fills up first and the bottom hand fills up last. Pause, and then as you exhale, lift the low belly muscles so you feel the lower hand sort of lighten its pressure, and then the upper hand lighten its pressure, and then breathe out the nose. Inhale all the way down to the belly, the back, side ribs, and tailbone. Exhale, lift from the tailbone. Try to keep the seat light, however. So continue to do that. Every time you inhale, fill up like a balloon, and every time you exhale, squeeze gently from the pelvic floor. And remember, you want to use the pelvic floor, not the glutes. And it's normal that you might engage the glutes a few times. In fact, I recommend it, so that way you can have a base of comparison when you're not squeezing so hard, and you can say, oh, my butt's not getting involved, because your butt likes to be involved. It likes to be in all of your business. And then just continually feel that little waving down, filling up, and that little slight lifting and drawing in. Again, the hands will get light, and then they'll fill up again when you breathe. All right, so let's keep that little echo of that breath throughout every movement that we do. So when I say breathe, it's not just breathing, it's this breath here, lighting up the bandhas, and of course, getting into the deep belly. All right, let's get moseying. Going to start on all fours, taking hands under shoulders but slightly in front. Okay. And then as though you have a big beach ball in between your upper arms, draw your upper arms into your body. It's going to roll the creases of your elbows forward. Don't move your hands though, right? If you roll the creases of your hands forward, some people do this, but I didn't say move your hands, right? So, and just trying to get your wrists somewhat parallel to the front of your mat, but that's not a good general direction. So you can also think of maybe your index or your middle finger parallel to the sides of your mat. Only you're going to know where you get the most stability. So yeah, you're waving your butt side to side here. So this isn't just a hand position, so press the tops of your toenails, shins, and then feel how your low belly lights up when you do that. And then inhale, ground, exhale, draw your thighs and arms in. Lengthen your low belly from the pelvic floor and then round your upper back only. You're going to complete the cat-cow sequence on your own, trying your very best not to tuck your tailbone forward. Now, if you're like me and you have a pretty big lumbar curve, maybe tucking the tailbone slightly down can feel okay once in a while. Otherwise, try to find a neutrality in 99% of your lifting of the tailbone, keeping it from curling forward. Keep the breath moving. Pressing into your finger pads more than your wrist side of your hand. And let's stretch out our calves. So take your right knee closer to the middle of the mat, extend your left leg, curl your toes under and just go back and forth. You may not want your back leg fully straight for this. That's okay. Happens to feel all right for me. You may want to bend the back leg of it too. Maybe you even pause, soften your elbows, lengthen your neck, press into the undersides of your knuckles and the fingers. Do a little pulsing. And then take it to the other side. So left knee to middle and stretch. So a little side to side, might not even hurt, front to back. If your arms are starting to lock out like so, draw them in slightly. Breathe. And then pause. Make sure you're lengthening the low belly, you're not just hanging out here. No hanging. Neutral position. Good. Now let's curl back into down dog. So take your toes under first. Again, try to rotate your inner elbows towards the sky without your hands sliding. Press into the undersides of your fingers, but particularly the tips of finger pads. Okay. And then use the exhale, use the lifting of your belly to rise up to down dog. So it's not just a leg thing. And then walk it out. Bend the knees generously in your first few down dogs, even if you can straighten them. Right, the point is not to find max range of movement right off the bat. It's to slowly invite your body to find its max. Especially because we never know day to day where our body wants to be. So don't base your yoga practice, your physical practice on what you were doing the day or the week before. From here, you can take your knees down if you're tired. Otherwise, we're going to bend the legs and try and keep the tail free. So I like to think of the seat as a bit of a wishbone. So when you're clenching in like this, you'll notice my glutes are clenching and my tailbone is really not pointing up. And for me, my hamstrings are super open, so I don't tip my tailbone too much. I make sure I'm lifting my low belly first, and then that saves my tail from overarching. Come up to your tippy toes. Draw your legs into your hips, and then draw your hips into your ribs, and then continue ribs into the heart, heart into the throat, throat into the crown of the head, and come to plank. Breathe in here. Right now your arms might be on fire. That's why you can always be on your knees anytime. Take your heels over to the right. If you're on your knees, take your shins over to the right. There's always a way to multiply. Inhale. As you exhale, lift your belly. Take them over to the left. Breathe here. Exhale. One more time each. And again, trying to keep your neck long, try to keep your gaze underneath your nose. Take your feet, bend, lift your low belly, press back to down dog, and then walk in a straight line like a little walking meditation. If you have to come up to your fingertips, that's fine. Bend your knees as much as you have to the front of your mat. And then take your feet wider than your hips. Bend your knees generously. And fold. Go ahead and ragdoll if the arms are tired. Or you can start interlacing your fingers behind your back, thumbs into the sacrum, and then allow your elbows and shoulders to drop back, but don't release your knuckles yet. We're going to take this slow and controlled. So, just like we don't want to go right into our max range of motion, we cannot make our practice right now based on anything that we've done in the past. Everything has to be based on right here, and that's where the awareness starts to become cultivated, because we've got to tune into what our body wants right now, not what we think it's capable of doing based on a previous practice or our previous practices. Once you've waved side to side like a little piece of seaweed, press really strongly into the three bony parts of your feet, big toe, little toe, heel. Inhale, try to wave the heart long. Right, and then exhale, lift in the low belly. Keep that Y shape in your seat. Start to rise up. And then when you inhale, you can express the arms and legs. Taking your hands to your heart, exhale. And just take a moment here to toe heel your feet, maybe more hip width. Your inner feet may or may not be parallel. Just make sure your knees and toes are pointing the same direction. Okay, so for me, my toes actually turn in ever so slightly. All right, so as you inhale, soften, create a little looseness in the seat, just a little. And then as you exhale, lift your low belly, draw your legs in, let the heart rise, and then invite the natural curves of your spine back. Exhale, fold from your core. Inhale, wave the spine long. And as you exhale, lift the left leg, take a slow step back. Maybe you need multiple steps, that works too. Runner's lunge. So we're going to focus a bit on the feet here and how not to use our low back as a fulcrum for our whole upper body and our arms. That can cause a lot of tension in the neck, believe it or not. So as you inhale, ground strongly. Draw that right seat back. Exhale, lifting your low belly. Start to stack your ribs over your hips and then the heart over your ribs. Now we've used the front of the body in a nice deep core line instead of our back body. If your arms don't like being up, that's okay. I would say bring them to your hips, to your heart, or take cactus arms. Okay, so from here, no matter where you are, you're coming to cactus. As you inhale, maybe press into the feet more strongly, back and front. Exhale, draw your legs in, draw your low belly up and in, and press forearms and hands. Inhale, let the spine return to a more open shape here. Exhale, draw in, press, and like you're holding onto a $100 bill. Inhale, exhale. So part of this motion is actually a little bit of rehab for various rotator cuff tears. It's part of what they do in physical therapy. But be careful, you might need to have less of an angle here. Good. Next one, inhale. Take your hands to your hips. Either drop your knee to the floor by lifting your core up, so you're not just dropping the knee, you're technically lifting as you're slowly dropping, or you can take your hands to the blocks first. Okay, left hand to the blocks or the floor. Take your right thumb into the hip crease, drop back and down. And then as you exhale, lift your left side belly up towards the ribs in the sky. And again, extending the arm with a rotator cuff injury, not fun. So you may draw a line and pause. Maybe you take your hand on your heart like you're saying the Pledge of Allegiance, or, and take it across wherever it wants to go. Maybe just here is good. Let your head relax. Try to let your left elbow come down. Left elbow. Your ear and your elbow. Not related. They can't even touch. And take it down to the shoulder and soften the shoulder. Breathe. Good. And then from here, take the hands down. And then we're going to step it forward. In front of the mat. Inhale, wave the spine long. As you exhale, plant the hands, step or float back to down dog. Land softly whether you step or float. Inhale, soften. Exhale, lift heels. Lift legs into hips, hips to ribs, ribs to heart, heart into throat, crown of the head. Take it down. This is a good way to avoid shoulder injuries. Draw your elbows in. Zip up your spine. Get the tip of your pubic bone to touch the floor first. Then your ribs. Come down for diagonal chaturanga. Keep your shoulders lifted like so. Okay. Inhale, press. Exhale, lift the belly. And come back diagonally. And then let the body open. For cobra or up dog, you could have done cobra here. Exhale, take it back through the knees or through pointed plank. But you've got to hug everything in. Arms, hands, feet, pelvic floor, ribs, and all that good stuff. So, take a nice breath in there. Exhale out the mouth. Maybe wave your head side to side. Okay, so we did this in plank. We're going to do it in down dog. Press strongly into the fingers and soften your elbows gently towards the earth. It's a subtle motion, so don't get all crazy like you're going to touch your elbows down. Inhale, bend the knees and let the wishbone shape in your seat come alive. And then exhale, heels over to the left. Now your left arm's going to want to lock out here, most likely. So try to draw the arm in towards your ear, your bicep in towards your ear, and stretch your right hip away from you. You can also do this on your knees. Okay. Inhale. Exhale, switch it through center to the other side using that low belly lift. Protect your spine. Same idea. The right arm wants to lock. Soften it and draw it in. Try to stretch your left hip towards the back wall. Breathe. Exhale to center. Then from here, soften and either hop. Take a nice breath in. Hop or step with that walking meditation to the front of your mat. Wave side to side, like a little pendulum. Maybe the legs go a little straighter. As you inhale, wave the spine long, hands into shins, draw some traction in the spine. As you exhale, start to lift and rise. Inhale. Exhale, take it down. Hands to the blocker floor. Breathe in, wave the spine. Exhale, slow step or steps with the right foot. Lunge. As you inhale, draw the left seat back and then sharpen up a little bit in the right leg or a lot. Exhale, bend, start to stack, ribs over hips, hips over heart, and then open. And take our arms to cactus again. So if 90 degrees doesn't work for you for whatever reason, take it lower. And then from here, we condense our energy. Watch the back knee. It's actually lifting through the psoas and not just bending it. If you just bend the knee without activating the core, that could be bad news for your knee. Squeeze it. But do it with a loose face, so be happy about it. Inhale. Good. Exhale. Always initiating from your low belly. This is not a leg move. This is a core move. Inhale, open. Be happy. Exhale, right hand to floor or block. Your choice. Your knee can come down too as well, of course. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Take your left thumb into the left hip crease, press it down and roll it out to the side. And then from your right inner thigh, start lifting the low belly up towards the ribs and diagonally towards the armpit. Keep your arm wherever it wants to be, even if it's just on your leg is fine. Maybe you string a bow, soften here, and then let the right ear go down towards the right shoulder if that's okay. You don't want your chin tucking into your chest. It's very common in a twist to see that tension because the low body is trying to balance. The upper body starts to close up. Take the hands down. Step back this time to down dog or to child's pose. Maybe run through a brief vinyasa as you inhale, soften, exhale, wave the spine forward, and on the same exhale, maybe chaturanga happens. Breathe in, press toenails, finger pads. Exhale, elbows in, lift the low belly. Inhale at the top, let everything release. And then as you exhale, take it back, whatever way suits you. Maybe stop on the tops of your toes to get a stretch. Stretching out the bottom of your deep core line. If that hurts, don't do it, clearly. Good. All right, so from here, bring your feet together and either take that walking meditation to the front of your mat or inhale, soften, even the elbows down. And then as you exhale, a little puff here. Get you to the front of your mat. And then we're going to sit. Hello. So, little core work here will help you see how you may be using your head, neck, and shoulders in life in a way that's detrimental to you, essentially. So we're going to do this little exercise. It's a Pilates exercise, but there's no reason why it can't be yoga because there's so many parallels. Really, anything can be yoga if you're breathing and it's mindful movement. So you're going to have one leg bent and one leg straight, and it may just happen that both legs have to be bent. Another way to do this is to put your bottom foot into a wall. A little higher so you can put it in. You might need to put the foot into a wall. Don't be afraid to go pause the video and go do that. This foot goes into a wall. This foot might too. Okay, we're all working strength in different ways. So know that that's an option to put your feet in the wall or have somebody hold your feet down or your foot down, right? So I'm going to show you how to do this with no wall. I'm going to pretend like someone's on my feet. I could call my dog over and she could lay on my feet, but then I'd have dog hair all over my mat. It's not like that. So from here we do a little roll down. Now, if you want to make this harder and you're a little bit stronger in strength, you can take the arms, roll the pinkies in, or take the beach pose, right? So let's take the beach pose just for a moment, sitting up tall. I just use my exhale to do that. And then press into the backs of your, the palms of your hands with the back of your skull, and keep the chin slightly down. Breathe here, and then maybe roll down. If you need your hands down, that's fine too. You're going to roll down by pressing into your feet, even though they're going to lighten. Inner thighs ignite, and then both sides of your pelvis and low spine. Let the head come down last. And then from here, you might pull your feet closer. You might straighten one leg. So let's do this together. As you inhale, press feet backs of shoulders. Exhale, squeeze inner thighs, ripple from your pelvic floor, sides of lumbar, ribs. Once it hits the sternum, that's when you can lift. And then inhale down. Exhale, everything squeezes, lifts. Once it hits the sternum, roll up. Now there's a few ways to do this exercise. You can straighten your right leg. Exhale, lift. Maybe that foot comes up. It's fine for now, as long as you're keeping that strong engagement. And everything activates from the bottom up. The head comes up as a result of just following your low belly and your sternum. Try this one more time, whatever way that works for you. Try to keep everything solid and soft. And we'll go a little bit of the beach pose here. And then take everything down and bring the feet close, and we'll take windshield wipers. So this is a good exercise for you to notice whether or not you tend to lift your head, neck, and shoulders first, as opposed to activating your core. Now there's a lot of aspects to your core, and it doesn't have to be as articulate as, okay, I gotta, press to my feet. All right, inner thighs, and then my belly. Oh wait, I forgot my pelvic floor. Oh wait, it's gotta go up to my heart. Don't overthink it. At this point, you're just cultivating awareness. Other leg up, or we're gonna do another set with the feet down or into the floor. Okay, your choice. Another way to do this is squeeze the block in between the knees. As you inhale, press your foot or feet, and then exhale, start to squeeze the block, lift the low belly, and you'll feel the lumbar part of your spine flatten a little bit. You don't want to push it up. It's going to flatten, and that's going to come up to the heart, and then you're going to come up. You can inhale at the top and exhale down. I feel very little strain in the shoulders, so continue that. And then I got stuck. I could have used my head there, but I didn't want to. One of the reasons I got stuck is I forgot to activate my inner thighs. Funny how that works. Breathe in. Let's do 2 more of these. You can point your toe too if you like, if you're into the dancery stuff. And then 1 more. Remember, your hands can be anywhere. Feel free to get creative. And then we're going to come cross the left ankle in front of right and just do a brief stretch. Take your side-to-side motion. If your legs don't cross comfortably, you could just have taken them out to either side in a straddle position. And then make a little circle wherever you are, like a little orbit. Right? So your torso and head, neck, and shoulders are orbiting around your pelvis, which is really where everything kind of originates from, quite literally. And then take it to the other direction. And then cross your legs the other way. And we'll take 3 circles one way and 3 the other way. And if you're in a wide-legged stance, just hold a position to the middle. All right, so now that we've done a test, I'm going to come back to the floor. So when you get out of bed in the morning, it's the first thing you really do with your body. It's actually best if you can kind of roll out of your bed. And of course, if you wake up to an alarm, your head's going to shoot up first. But try your very best to make it so you're rolling to one side, and then maybe the edge of my mat is the edge of your bed, right? You put your hand on the edge of your bed, and your legs can kind of hang off, and then you come up with your head as the last thing. If you don't have that luxury for some reason, just keep the head low, swing your legs out of the bed, and then maybe shut off your alarm. Now, if you're a snooze person, you may have trouble with that. So if you're a big snoozer and you let the alarm go off, 2, 3, 8 times, then you're going to have to find a way to combat that lifting up the head and neck first. Because when you do that, not only is that straining big time, the muscles and even your jaw, but it's also sends a signal to your nervous system, like fight or flight, So what we want to do is we want to start the day off with the right signal. So there's a big difference, I find. If I forget to roll out of bed and I wake up, I feel kind of like, if I roll out of bed and I take it slow, and the whole process of getting out of bed takes like 30 seconds, just 30 seconds. It just kind of makes things a little bit better. It makes, the nervous system better able to handle things. So, all right, we've done the meaty portion. We've done different things with our arms, and we've done this. So if you want to go back and do it again, you certainly may. Otherwise, grab a strap or a towel or a belt or anything that you can grab onto. So I'm going to do this facing away from you, not because I'm rude, but because it's a little easier for you to see. So monkey grip is not for everyone. So consult your yoga instructor to see if monkey grip is right for you. You'll want to use a strap, of course, because monkey grip is when the fingers interlock. So 11 years of yoga with sort of like a 4-year asana hiatus. This is where I am. And this is after 4 strong, continuous years of a solid, almost daily practice. So this is where I might stop ever in my whole life. And that's fine. It doesn't mean that I will miss enlightenment. So do the best you can. Now, monkey grip isn't for a lot of people, and guys in particular will really suffer from this. You'll see a lot of their arm just pressing their head down. So I would much rather see the elbow in front and then slowly working its way up than jamming or this. You don't want the arm to come up this way. And just doing the best you can. The straighter you can sit, the better for you. So if you are familiar with Gomukhasana, you want to sit like that. That is the traditional seat. But otherwise, I'm just going to be on a block so I can focus on being grounded. So if your low back curve is getting pushed out, like I'm showing you right now, you need to sit on something. Do not hesitate to have proper alignment from the base of your body up. It's going to make a huge difference. What your lumbar and your sacrum does, it's going to affect everything up here. You can hold this as long as you want. Feel free to pause. You can also go forward. The problem is that people tend to round through the upper back. Now, if you have a flat thoracic curve, which can create its own set of issues, which I won't get into here, you may benefit from stretching out of your pelvis first. So stretch the front of your spine out of your pelvis. Find your edge and then rounding. There's nothing wrong with mindful rounding of the curve. But if you know that you have the beginning of a kyphotic, like a humpback, it may benefit you to try to keep a straight spine here. And then we'll release and go to the other side. So change the crossing of your legs, change whatever you need to, shake them out. I just did that side. Okay. So the bottom shoulder will feel a lot, especially in the front. Most people tend to be tight in the front of their shoulders and their chest and the side body. So what we're going to do here is be really mindful that we don't have this winging in. This top arm is not crushing your head or making it go forward, giving your cervical spine more pressure. Now pretend that you have your fingers interlaced in the back of your skull like we did earlier, and you're pressing back into your fingers, your chin point slightly down. Do you notice how the positioning of your head changes the stretching of the bottom arm? Also, don't forget to lift your low belly. But do you notice that? Just check it out. And if you didn't do that on the other side because I didn't tell you, check that out too. Pause and check it out. I'm not going to stay here for too long because you may not want this. Also, try to keep the hand in the middle of the spine. Mine tends to go out to the opposite side. You can try that stretching forward, so keep your seat heavy. I can feel my block is coming off the floor, so I don't want to go too far. And then for me, I'm pretty safe with rounding my back because my curve is pretty normal. It might even be a little flat. And then from here we'll come up and release. Okay, so that might be a lot if you've got any tears going on. So what's a really good thing to do if you particularly have a supraspinatus tear or even any tension up here is eagle arms. So let's do this. Let's do eagle arms with our legs wide now. And again, sitting on a block is never a bad thing. It can keep you grounded. You can sit on a blanket too. And you sit pretty much on the edge of whatever you're sitting on. You don't sit too far back. All right, so if you're a chronic hyperextender like I am, and even if you're not, press the backs of your heels and have a little give to the backs of your knees. So eagle arms may not go this far. You may not be able to cross here, so just hug yourself, keep the shoulders down, and just keep your groundedness really strong. You don't want to be doing this. Just throwing it out there. So I'm going to sit up. All right. Left arm over right. And then you're going to tug at the left thumb. And what they do is they tell you, pretend like you're having a tug of war with your arms, and you pull with the thumb, but then you pull that hand away from you and try to keep the elbows in front of the body. This is really good for stretching out the backs of your shoulders and the tops. The backs will tend to get tight because they will compensate for anything in the front or the tops that isn't working correctly. It's just a good overall stretch. Another thing you can do is if you have your left arm on top, take your elbows a little bit to the left. Now be careful, because this is really going to get down into the shoulder blades and like the subscapularis and all that. Looking over to the right. Keeping your shoulders as down as they can be in this position. Don't get too militant about that, though. They have to rise a little. And then taking it out to center. And then maybe from here, taking it back. This time we can interlace the fingers, maybe the non-habitual way. Thumbs into sacrum. And the way I recommend is you inhale, bring the elbows back, lift the heart. As you exhale, lift through the low spine and then release so you're not compensating in your low back. Then you can inhale, mostly into the heart here. Keep a softness in the elbows, and maybe even sway side to side. If this isn't comfortable for you, you take the strap behind you. Okay. You have your knuckles facing up, palms down, but not at the expense of this, right? We're trying to make sure that we have integrity. So your hands might have to be wide. And hold this for as long as you can stand it with breath. 10 breaths should be enough. If you want more, it's fine. If you want less, and then come back to it, you can do that. All right. Right arm over left, grabbing your right thumb. And then from here, have a little tug of war. This is a stretcher, and when you have the tug of war, it's a strengthener too. So you're getting a little bit of everything. And this is one of the things that they will put in, well, as far as I know, from my experience in physical therapy for any rotator cuff, particularly the supraspinatus. And then if you want to take the elbows over to the left, you can, and looking over to the right. Breathe here. Keep your face soft. Come on over. And also another thing to remember too, if you have any clicking, popping, uncomfortableness in the shoulder, whenever you're in yoga, extending your arms from the center out could very well be your medicine. And I think this is medicine for most people. I think it's good long term. So that's another thing. You'll notice that I didn't just throw my arms out. Puts a lot of tension. We're just going to do this a little bit to get the energy flowing from the stretching and the strengthening. It just creates a long lever in your shoulders, and your shoulder has the fulcrum, and then especially if you do a lot of yoga, repetitive movement of any kind can be detrimental. So if you do a very linear practice, try something a little more fluid. And then we'll take it down. So if you've already been in this position today, then you're here again. It's not a bad thing. If you want to take your feet in, you can. And we're going to do one more little stretch here. Normally I would do this in horse stance, but so you can try that if you want. But you're going to take the hands either to the inner thighs or the inner shins. Please skip your knees. Do not put pressure on your little knees. And again, you want to sit up tall. This is super important that you're not pulling your pelvis back and then puffing out your low back, your low back curve. We don't want that. Okay. Right shoulder down, right? And then both arms are bending. Right shoulder, right chest down towards the floor. Look over your left shoulder, or if looking over your left shoulder isn't right, just look somewhere to the left. And then push a little bit more into the right hand, so you're sort of typewriting your shoulders. And then take it to the other side. So left shoulder down, left chest towards the right. Bending your elbows, looking to the right, either over or up. Breathe. And then do this a few times. Exhale, take it over. And you might need, if you put your hands on your shins, you might get more range of motion. So just remember to experiment. Inhale, open the heart. Exhale, lift the belly, squeeze it over to the other side. Just do this a few times until you finish each side about 5 times. Just remember, the more you internally rotate that shoulder, your palm might come off your leg when you do so, the more of a stretch you're going to get, but don't go full bore right away. Be very gentle. Wonderful. Okay, so to end your practice today, you will find a bolster, a blanket, or perhaps a couple of blocks, and we'll do, or you could use nothing. So if you have a tiny bolster like me, you can probably put your back up against it, but beware of low back curve, right? Pull away if you don't like that. And then we're going to cross the legs. Actually, we're not going to cross the legs. I lied. We're going to take the feet hip width apart, toes in, let the knees knock in, just opening the whole back halves of your pelvis, all the muscles there. All right, opening the SI joint, and then we're going to cross the arms overhead. Now, you might need to take a cactus here, and if your arms don't come down, then you support them. You really want them to be supported. So the blocks are your friends, and I suggest supporting the forearm, because having the elbow support and the forearm hanging down is just kind of annoying, and to me it's really not the healthiest position. But again, it's your body, right? So do your thing. So from cactus, if you have the range of motion without pain, you can start taking, your thumb and your forefinger together to make a diamond. Then you can grab opposite wrists, forearms, or elbows and let them hang. If this is not enough for you, you come off of your bolster, or you take your bolster sideways. Take your bolster so there's about an inch on top of your shoulders before your head touches the floor. This is if you've got extra range of motion. But beware of how those ribs puff out, even when you're on the bolster. And always have that little bit of pressing into the floor, low navel, up, pulling the ribs in slightly, or a lot. That feels good. And maybe from here you'll inhale, tilt the pelvis slightly forward, lift the heart. Exhale, press the knees away from you as your low belly lifts into the ribs. Just be careful wherever you are, whatever position you're in. There should be no tweaky pain. And then when you're ready, take the other hand on top, the other forearm on top. And then you may even decide that you want to take a spinal twist on the other side. If you spinal twist your legs to the right, pull your left elbow with your right hand just a little bit over your head. You can also take your arms overhead and pull the right elbow to the left. That's just creating little spirals in your body. These are all suggestions. And then if your legs twist to the left, pull the left elbow with your right hand across, or keep your arms overhead and pull the right elbow across. It's just getting a bigger side body stretch. And try everything. And then maybe come to center. Maybe do it again. I would do it again. That's what my body says. It's like, do that again. That felt great. Breathe. Make sure the top leg is heavy. So if the outer hip muscle or glutes want to hold it up and into your body, try to let it release out of the socket. If releasing out of the socket is painful, I recommend that you keep the leg closer to you. Okay, and then taking it to the other side again. Why not? You can have your arms overhead too. If you have your arms overhead, draw your arms the opposite direction. And again, get creative with it. If you don't like what I have to offer you, but you've tried it, do what you need to do. Let the top leg hang. When the top leg hangs and you lift a little bit of that low belly out of your pelvis, you'll feel a deeper stretch at the top of the hips. All right. So from here, you can take a lovely shavasana, maybe with this subtle opening of the heart. If, again, you're one of those people with a flatter thoracic curve, and such people do exist, I'm on the border of that myself, then you'll want to take It's lovely. Make sure your pelvis is on top. If your pelvis is not on top, you're going to have major low back curve. And then perhaps even take your head off or keep your head on a block. This might feel really excellent. Arms can be to the side, cactus, or down. If your palms face up, you will get more of a rounding shape. If your palms face down, your shoulders naturally lift and you get more of a neutral position, turning your head from side to side. So you can certainly stay longer. Otherwise, I'm going to stop the video here. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to ask for more. And remember to listen to your body. So just like we talked about, you can't base your body's activities today on what you've done in the past. You have to listen to it. That's why we have a warm-up. That's why we cultivate awareness. The same goes for everything. It applies to all situations that pop up where we try to react in a way that mirrors a result from the past. So if you got nothing else out of this practice besides some stretching and some strengthening, remember to take every day and every moment exactly as it is. It is new. It is not a repeat. And then you will find yourself more in the present moment. Life becomes less stressful. People around you are less stressful. And it's a wonderful chain of events. Rest as long as you like, yogis. Namaste.